little bit sassy, a little bit crazy, a little bit classy. We got dreams and we got goals. We're just a couple of old sassholes.
We're doing it. Hi.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi.
Hello. Welcome to A Couple of Sassholes podcast. I'm Brooklyn Maple.
And I am Heather Terry.
And once more, this is our power hour of true crime, fucked up shit, fucked up people doing fucked up things for usually fucked up reasons.
Yes. Profanity is included.
And for free.
For free.
Yay. What's also included for free will probably be my coughs.
Oh, yeah.
I feel like I'm fighting off something stupid. But
yeah.
It's better than chlamydia. So everything's fine.
I love that whenever you start to get sick, you always think that, like, you're like, I'm not weak. Like, whenever I'm like, I don't think I'm sick. And you're like, well, it sucks to be weak.
I do. I'm terrible. I swear to you, military parents, man, they'll make you fucking crazy.
Walk it off. I'm like, but my femur is showing.
I know.
I didn't just
I
trip.
literally broke my leg and had it broken for 2 weeks before I finally went in and got a cast for it.
What?
When I was a kid, I broke my leg, and my parents said they felt terrible because they did take me to the doctor. Uh-huh. It was a hairline fracture in my leg.
Oh.
The doctor was like, I don't think it's broken, so they didn't do an x-ray. And then like 2 weeks of me walking on a broken leg as a little kid, they finally put me in a cast when they realized. My mom was like, I never felt like a shittier mother than that. I was like, I'm sure I would have felt like a shitwad too.
Shitwad.
Yeah, just saying.
That sounds very painful. I've never broken a bone though. Knock on wood.
That's the only one I've broken.
Yeah.
I don't know. Honestly, my back is so bad. With
broken.
whatever is like sciatica or whatever, like fuck that. I don't need to break anything.
Very true. You have enough pain.
I do. Just being alive.
You know what's not painful?
Our live show that we did.
Yes. You caught my segue.
It was painful. It was terrifying and very painful leading up to it.
Oh, yeah. You crushed it, though. You did so well. I was so proud. I just stared at you like, oh, look, yay.
Yay. She's not hyperventilating and not able to breathe.
No, you did a great job.
It was great.
It was so fun. Everyone that came, they were lined up outside. We were like, oh, there were
real people there.
Lined
like
up
actual
outside.
Humans. And we were so happy and so grateful.
Yeah. And you can hear them laughing whenever we're talking and we're not just in this room by ourselves.
Yeah.
Like staring at each other.
There's such a level. I think pretty much all I felt was gratitude the whole time that there were people there.
Yes.
And that whenever we walked up, they clapped.
Oh my God, right?
Big wins. People attended. They took photos with us. That makes me feel really good.
Yeah.
It's in the grand scheme of it at the event, it sounds like, duh, they're going to clap for you when you walk up there, and duh, they're going to want to take a photo. You were just up there talking for 2 hours. But in the moment, it's like, oh my God, you're talking to us.
Yeah.
Like, you want to take a photo with me.
And you're paying attention and you're listening and you showed up and you're posting things and they were so excited and saying, like, other people were tagging each other saying, we have to go to the next one, which I say that Brooklyn just gave me a look.
No, I'm totally down.
Yes.
Heather knows that she has officially popped the cherry of me being concerned about these, and I will do it. But I am currently in the T-minus like 84 days to my wedding, and all I really want to do is like freak the fuck out over everything else. So I'm officially in panic mode of the wedding.
Yeah, so stay tuned later.
Yes.
Much later.
Much later.
Yes.
But you know what's not later? Our show.
Yeah.
And what we're going to do today.
Okay.
I'm going to hop in first.
Yeah.
Just in case I'm too long. Because mine looks thicker than your paper. That is my genius to this, is that mine looks thicker. And so I just don't know.
Okay.
So I'm gonna
Let's range.
do that. I'm gonna take that executive choice to go first, so that if it's too long, you can add your stuff back into your story and we do it later. You guys might see a difference coming up. Heather came up to me today with a great idea of us maybe doing one, like her doing a story, me doing a story, because I am truly over fucking whelmed.
Yeah. Which I totally get.
Yeah, I am in a state of utter fucking kind of panic almost 24/7.
Yeah, so that way we can just have more meat, less potatoes. It'll just we'll be on the keto diet. It'll be meat only, just all protein. and maybe one-offs.
Maybe a side salad or some sauteed mushrooms. And we have not eaten, and this is our lunch break. That should tell you we're recording on lunch breaks now.
Yes.
So that should say where we are mentally on like being able to squeeze it in. But we also don't want to just take a whole bunch of time off. Like you guys get used to these. You like to hear a new story. If you're a true like fan and a listener and you've listened to all of ours, then it's not fun to do listen to another episode. But for a lot of new listeners, it's fun to get, oh, did you guys hear about this one? But
yeah, exactly. So
let's do it.
Let's ride.
I pulled this right out of my fat asshole like earlier yesterday. So I had two stories, and one of them was like, girl, you need to read way more on this one, and you cannot possibly rush it. This one, I thought I was going to be able to just like be boopsie whoopsie poops and be fine. And guess what? I was wrong, as it's 14 freaking pages. And so she thick. And all of it came from Wikipedia. So if Wikipedia was wrong on this story, then everything I say is a lie.
That's all right. We're all about transparency, math, and facts.
Yes.
Here.
So we're going to talk here about Jerry Michael Williams. He was known really as Mike or Michael. Okay. He grew up in Bradfordville, which is north of Tallahassee in Florida. He was the son of a Greyhound bus driver and a daycare provider who raised him and his older brother, Nick. They had a double-wide trailer. Instead of building a house, they were really focused on making sure that their kids had an awesome schooling situation. Mm-hmm. So they put their money into them attending North Florida Christian High School. Go them. I thought that was pretty sweet.
Yeah.
And Mike took to that. He was like, I am going to be the shit nizzle. And he was the student council president. He played football. He was active in Key Club. I don't even remember what Key Club was.
What is Key Club?
I don't know.
Does it have keys?
Yeah, it's just
like if you have
it's like
most,
a janitor.
Yeah.
The janitor's the fucking
Future Janitors
ambassador.
Association of America.
That slid off your tongue like we need to start it. At age 15, he began duck hunting as a hobby. Oh, what sucks is that this is a duck hunter who dies. So there's a lot of comments on my mental state as I was reading
because Travis hunts the ducks. Because she's really into the Nintendo game where you used to hold the gun up to the TV, duck hunt.
Oh, yeah, I remember that.
And you'd hold it up to the TV and that little fucking dog would pop up if you missed. Anyway, okay, keep going.
Yeah, we're going to totally finish fast.
Yeah.
He began duck hunting as a hobby. He also began a friendship with this bitch named Denise Merrill. Merrill spelled literally like my hiking boots. So I have a lot of feelings about this story. So after North Florida Christian, he attended Florida State University. He majored in political science and urban planning, which is really cool. Mm-hmm. Just like planning cities.
Yeah.
Before graduation, he was hired by Ketchum Appraisal Group, and he was a property appraiser. So he was known for being super hardworking, which makes me love him, but also makes me resent him. And you'll kind of see why. So the owner of that company could not gush over Mike enough. Like he was just where it was at. He ended up marrying that girl from high school, Denise Merrill, in 94. Now he would come home for dinner and then he would return to work after his wife fell asleep or at some point later on his daughter, and he would go back to work again. Sometimes too, he would also go to work after duck hunting in the morning. So whenever you usually duck hunt, you're leaving, you need to be on the water before the sun rises. And in the wintertime, and that's in the colder seasons. Yeah. So essentially, it's like, depending on how far away you need to go, it's like a 2 a.m. wake up. It's a lot of loading, and there's a lot of prep work to it. So usually a 2 a.m. or a 3 a.m. wake up, if not before that.
Early as fuck.
Early as fuck. And then you're not getting much sleep, and then you're just going back to work. Like Travis has done it before, but he did it because he had to go to work, not because I just love to work, you know?
Yeah, he sounds like a workaholic a little bit.
A little bit. So his mom back then in the 90s or 2000s, she was saying that he was grossing like $200,000. So he was definitely making good money.
Oof.
In 2000, making $200,000? Fuck yeah. He and Denise bought a home in a small subdivision on the east side of the city. He was really living the American dream, but obviously he was working super hard for it. In 1999, he had his only child, which was a daughter. She was born. His coworker said that he was super devoted to his daughter just as much as his work. The following year, unfortunately, his dad had died. Midway through the year, the couple bought a $1 million life insurance policy on him through this guy named Brian Winchester. Brian was a childhood acquaintance of Denise, who had also become best friends with her husband. So Brian is an old high school friend of Denise, and now really, really close friends with Mike.
Uh-oh. Are you
Brian is
foreshadowing?
also married too.
Are you foreshadowing?
Hard. Like a hard cat.
Yeah, you said, did you say hard cock?
I'm trying to drink tea too because my throat feels like it's on fire.
Oh, yeah.
I should like Lysol this mic afterwards.
Yeah, I think it'll be all right. Nobody will lick it. It'll be fine.
I'm drinking tea. Everything's fine.
Everything's fine. You're not weak.
Call my dad. He's like, what's that? Tickle in your throat, you little pussy? Go do push-ups. Anyway, okay. And we make jokes, but my dad is so that way. Later that year, Williams had told his mother, who he had been just talking, he was so close to his mom, that he was basically saying like, hey, I want to save and put $50,000 over to the side so I can take the next year off.
Oh, wow.
And like right before he ends up disappearing. So right before he disappears, only 2 days before, Mike and Denise had told his mother that, and his brother, Nick, that they were planning on having another child soon. So they were planning for another baby. And in 2001, she said that they were planning to go on a cruise to Hawaii in the spring. And then later in the year, they were going to travel to Jamaica for work as well. So I think it's important to understand, like, he was super pumped and ready for life and being zesty.
Yeah. So he was like home for 3 hours a night to like, we need to live it up next year.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like, I'm tired of working so much. Let's spend time together.
Yeah.
According to his wife, Denise, on the morning of December 16th, 2000, which was a Saturday, her husband awoke early, leaving the house well before dawn, as I had mentioned. And he had his boat in tow, and he was going to go duck hunting on Lake Seminole. I almost said luck hunting on Duck Seminole.
Yes.
That's what my head said.
I mean, that sounds about right.
Right. The lake is a large reservoir that's approximately 50 miles northwest of Tallahassee. It's located in the southwest corner of Georgia along the border in Florida. Or Florida, where there were 3 other streams that merged to form the Apalachicola, River. And the couple that night was going to celebrate their wedding anniversary, their 6th wedding anniversary in Apalachicola.
Yeah, y'all Google that.
Yeah. At noon, Denise had called her father to let him know that Mike did not return. Brian Winchester, which was Mike's best friend, and his father drove with Winchester to the areas of the lake where they knew Mike would always frequently duck hunt. Mm-hmm. They found his 94 Ford Bronco near a remote boat launch in Jackson County on the Florida side. So the Florida Fish and Wildlife Conservation Commission, that is the FFWCC that I'm going to talk about. Okay. They are called in to do a search and rescue. So the concept here is it's a search and rescue. So they basically call in the the wildlife conservation team that's there versus the cops who would come in for like a homicide.
Yeah, they call the experts.
Well, they didn't call the experts. They called the people in the area that he was.
Yeah.
Versus bringing in more troops. But a storm blows in.
Oh.
So I would be out of my fucking mind if I thought that Travis was like injured in the fucking... It's such a dangerous area in general. Like, duck hunting is dangerous as shit.
And you have to go on a boat and like out on the water.
And it's usually water that's really just flooded areas before, so there's trees everywhere.
That's what I thought. You showed me photos and videos.
Yeah, you can
stuff.
just walk on it usually during the summer months, but then in the winter it floods. And so now it's a lake. And so there's trees and stumps and all this shit everywhere. And it's just dangerous.
Sounds like it.
The initial search was handled by the FFWCC versus the cops because they thought it was just a missing hunter. Mm-hmm. And they did this search and rescue. They said that they didn't have a lot to go on except that there was an empty boat and the guy didn't show up home. They didn't really... I don't know. They were worried, but they weren't worried all that much, which kind of fucking sucks because it's like, oh, if you're just missing, everything's fine.
Do you think it's like no signal or something? They just thought he just got turned around.
They thought there was a chance he was still alive, I think.
Yeah. I don't think I would assume that's how it would be.
I would hope.
Yeah.
They focused on the 10 acres of the lake surrounding the cove where the boat was originally like parked and where his truck was. Now, there was a gun in the case in the boat, which I thought was very confusing. I'm going to probably honestly skim through a huge portion of this because I know the fucking story. So basically what happens is they first think they find the boat and they find the boat near a ramp. This ramp, though, is a muddy, bad ramp. And now that I have a boat, I understand how important it is to use a good concrete one because you can really damage your boat whenever you're backing it in. If it's too muddy, you can't get the trailer back out. If like the concrete's broken, it can chip or damage the boat. Mm-hmm. So basically they find the boat near an area of a ramp that was a shitty ramp, though there were like 3 other very good ramps nearby. So that didn't make sense.
Yeah.
That's step 1 of it being confusing. Now, the original first thought was that this area, this cove that he was in, was originally an orchard until the Chattacoochie, the Chattacoochee and Flint Rivers and the Spring Creek were dammed to create the lake. So it's called Stump Field, which means that you have to be really careful because there's huge stumps in the water.
Oh.
Now, the difference between a duck boat and like a bayliner, a boat that you're using on the lake, it's very thin. So there's not a big underbelly to it. So that's why those can be on that type of water.
Oh, gotcha.
But like a bayliner couldn't be there because there's not enough water and you'd be hitting all the other shit that's under there. The underbellies. And so they're believing that he must have hit a stump and fell out and was flown out,
Like through all the
hit
bone.
his head and drowned.
Oh.
That's one of the thoughts.
I bet that happens.
Remember when our bayliner hit that sand and we
Yes.
didn't die from it? That's how we would have died. So we ended up accidentally like hydroplaning our boat because you could not tell that it was like, you really truly could not tell that we had hit sand, and we had to get a duck boat to get us out.
Yeah.
But Travis figured it out fast enough to pull up instead of us just hitting it like a concrete wall, and then we would have. So that's what they're assuming happened here. Now, another thing too is, so first they think that he was flown out. Now, he was very into paying attention to like the rules, and now Travis doesn't do this because it's your waders. So your waders are the overalls that you put on to make sure that your clothes don't get wet, right? Mm-hmm. So waders, if you fall and you get water in them, you can drown. That way it helps.
Because they go.
It's like a parachute.
Like the rubber overall things that go up to like your titties.
Right. And so if you had fallen forward out of the boat, it would help you drown if you couldn't get it off of you fast enough because of the weight that drags you down. So he never put his overalls in until right before he got into the water. That's the difference between where he's hunting and like Arkansas, where you have to get into the water, push the boat out in certain areas, and then get in. That was never a thing I knew that people did. I never got into a boat without my waders on. So these are just kind of like things to think about later on whenever they don't find certain parts of whatever they thought that he did. The other part is if he had his waders on and he was going to hunt, why was his gun never out of the case? It's not.
I feel like that's a key component of the act of hunting.
Well, firstly, no shit in any experience, but ducks. Ducks are flying overhead. It's not.
He has a slingshot.
Right. Your gun has to be poised and ready to go. It can't be tucked away. Deer hunting, it could be over to the side on a stand and not in your hand because the deer is going to walk up and you're going to see it.
This
Ducks are flying overhead.
Brought to you by Bass Pro Shops.
Oh my God, I wish. I love Bass Pro Shops. Anyway, so then they're pretty sure that he must have drowned and somehow they're not finding the body. So they at one point are like, don't worry, it's 8 to 12 feet deep, but they're like, the body's going to come up in the next 7 days if he drowned. It's just impossible that he doesn't. So they end up finding 10 days into the search a camouflage patterned hunting hat. They can't confirm that it's his. They call off the search in early February. They're like, oh, we probably would have looked a little bit further, but Denise didn't push for it at all.
Wow.
His mom, Cheryl, does all this other shit. So they're basically saying at this point, she hires like a private search person to also like get involved in everything.
The mom?
So, yes. So with the wildlife around here, someone says, I don't know because I turned the page. I'd guess that the alligators have dismembered and have stored the remains in a location that would not be able to be found. So early researchers are reported seeing tons of alligators in the area, and they were just like, you know what? It's possible.
It is.
But it's really fucking not. And I'll tell you later why it's not.
We're learning so much today.
We really are.
I basically live outside now.
So they then think, well, maybe his body got tangled in these hydrilla, like bushy thingies, I'm probably saying that wrong, beneath the surface that alligators will go to. And it's a great place to actually fish. They dig even deeper. They're still not finding his body. No, none of his items, nothing like that. Basically just boat and truck.
Mm-hmm. And boat in off that weird ramp.
Yes. So in June, This was January is when or December 2000 is when he disappeared. In June, an angler in the area discovers a pair of waders that are floating in the lake. And the divers search the area and they recover a lightweight hunting jacket and a flashlight. And in one of the jacket pockets, there's a hunting license with Williams' name and signature. However, there's no teeth marks or any other damage to the waders. It also shows no sign of being in the water for 6 months.
Really?
The flashlight still works.
So it got planted.
Yeah, 100%. Everything got thrown back into the water later on.
So they were like, we know you're looking. Okay, sorry. Okay.
Well, they're dumb. They're really actually quite stupid.
Yes.
Because obviously he was killed in a different location. They had his items. They're like, oh, until they have his body and confirm he's dead, they're not going to get the money.
So they threw, okay.
So this is what sets them to where Leon County Judge grants Denise Williams the petition saying that Mike is declared legally dead on the basis of those recovered items and the assumption that alligators or other water life had consumed his body entirely.
But why? But that doesn't make, I'm not even on the police force and I know that doesn't make sense. You know?
I don't know.
You know?
I do know.
Yeah, okay. Well.
So there's things that just don't really make a lot of sense. So she ends up claiming the $1.5 million. And
she got it.
She got all of it. And then, of course, 5 years later, she marries Brian Winchester. Who had sold Mike the policies a few months before he disappeared. They went on to live in the same house where Denise and Mike had lived. And they mostly declined discussing anything in public. Like, they just went on. They waited 5 years and they got married.
Wow. In the same house?
Yes. Now it's just all this money.
All his fucking money.
Yes. So the private search team that surmised that the alligator theory had been hired near the end of the original search. So Cheryl, his mom, is like, no. So she keeps going back and she's like, I don't fucking believe this. I don't get it. I don't believe it. She still thought he was alive, which is sad. Aww. But she was not convinced that he drowned in that lake. Like no
Me
part
either.
of her thought that he was. Right. Right. And we kind of get into it, but it's just, I don't understand why they didn't. I don't know. I just don't know why no one cared enough. That's what I have to say. It's like they were just being fucking lazy.
It sounds like his mom was the only one who actually like dove in and was like, someone help my son.
Yeah. And she had stated too that like she had received threats to like kind of discourage her. And I don't know why, but she had said for the next several years, she investigated on her own. When she wasn't operating the daycare that she had at her home. She ran, and she lost her husband too. He died right before that.
Gosh.
She ran advertisements in local newspapers. She put up billboards seeking information. And everything that I'm about to tell you came out after the investigation was closed because of Cheryl. So # go fucking Cheryl. Okay.
Okay. I'm ready.
She said that she got criticized a lot for not admitting that he was dead. She had told the Tallahassee Democrat in 2007, so 7 years after the death. All I know is that I can't stop looking for him until I find him.
Oh, that's heartbreaking.
And obviously this like really strained her relationship with her daughter-in-law because she still wanted a relationship with Mike's daughter. So
they had a kid, right? Sorry.
Yes.
So she of course wanted to.
Yeah, that's the only reason why I'd care, probably.
Yeah.
In 2004, the Florida Department of Law Enforcement agreed to reopen the case after lobbying by Cheryl Williams and a friend. It does not normally have jurisdiction in missing persons cases and cannot get involved in investigations purely on the basis of citizens' requests, although it can offer assistance to local agencies as it did in this case. So in retrospect, many officers agreed with her that the circumstances surrounding Michael Williams' apparent drowning 4 years before were unusual.
Yeah.
So the police were like, yeah, we'll talk about it. Because we don't know.
She was raising such a big stink. They knew she wasn't going to stop.
Well, here is why.
Okay.
The boat launch where his Bronco was found, which would presumably have used to be put the boat in the lake, was an undeveloped patch of mud. Yet nearby were finished concrete launches that he had been known to actually use.
So they were like, why would he do that this one time? It's just a muddy hill.
Right. Yeah. There's people in our lives, if anything ever happened, like go to Ross. I feel like Ross would know which boat ramps that we go on. But that's the thing is like you would know. Mm-hmm. You'd be like, they would never use that. Their boat wouldn't work there. So they would always go to this one down the lane. It's just like finding the best entrance to a parking lot, I guess. The storm the night after he was reported missing had westerly winds that should have blown the abandoned, unmoored boat across the lake to the Georgia side. So it makes no sense why the boat was there in the first place.
Oh.
When the boat was recovered, the engine was off, yet the gas tank was full. According to a representative of the manufacturer, if the engine had been running when he allegedly fell out of the boat, which is what everyone theorized, then the boat should have stayed on and it would have continued to run and he would have ran out of gas.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes.
That's what happens. I knew that.
So automatically, too, he never hunted alone. So that was another thing that other people had said.
It doesn't sound very safe, so I'm glad that...
No, you just don't.
This is saying, Travis needs to get another hobby.
He usually always hunts with somebody.
This sounds very dangerous.
I don't know. So he usually didn't hunt alone. Other doubts that came through that he had drowned became more serious when they learned that, in fact, alligators do not generally feed during the winter months due to the colder temperatures. During the search period, the daytime temperatures averaged between 55 degrees with overnight lows below freezing. Some nights got as cold as 19 degrees. A fire was built in a 55-gallon drum on the shore for the searchers to stay warm when they were looking for his body. The water was already at 58 degrees Fahrenheit the day of his disappearance. It dropped down to 46 degrees, and the lake had iced out some of it to the shoreline. So, in those conditions, it's very unlikely that an alligator would have been active at all.
Oh.
So, a local herpetologist said all they are doing is maintaining their body temperature. 58 degrees is too cold for an alligator to be interested in food whatsoever.
Man.
I just have to hibernate and keep my body regulated.
Wow. I wish I wasn't interested in food when I was cold.
Right?
I gain weight in the winter.
We all do. Our bodies aren't the same. Anyway, so even if an alligator had defied all known gator behavior and had eaten Williams' body, it would have left something behind that would have been found.
Oh, yeah.
It was impossible for an alligator to eat a full-grown man.
Yeah, especially apparently in the cold.
Well, and he was 170 pounds. So they're like, you're talking about a 5'10" guy that's 170 pounds and an alligator in freezing temperatures who is not hungry.
Yeah.
Was then able to eat every inch of said body with not one shred.
Yeah, without touching
anything.
his waders that go all the way up to his nips.
Exactly.
So,
not to mention that the discovered waders that were 6 months after the disappearance had nothing in it, like nothing.
Just nothing.
Just planted in the spot.
And not ripped.
Exactly. Not a tooth mark, not even residue that you would expect to accumulate in the water during that time frame for as long as they were.
They're kind of dumb.
I just think Denise wasn't trying. So she wasn't trying to find answers. She wasn't pushing for anything. Cheryl wasn't able to apparently, she was pushing for things, but I guess because it wasn't Denise, there wasn't enough.
Yeah.
There just wasn't enough, I guess. I don't know. I think the other thing, too, is maybe it was the fish and wildlife people who were like, oh, that's totally what happened.
Yeah, maybe they made them feel at ease and they were like, well, they root around out here all the time.
Yeah, no one's beating us up and we have 800 other cases. Let's just worry about...
Yeah, they're like, sounds good. And then the judge was like, you know what? Okay, cool. That's fine. Take your money and get out of my face.
Exactly.
That's what it sounds like to me.
Yeah. Well, and then one of his friends who hunted with him just a week before, they're like, dude, never in the history of my life ever would he had let me get on the boat in waders. So there's no way at all that he was wearing waders on the boat. One of his friends it's impossible. It's impossible that he would have let that happen. And so the friend was saying too, there's no way that he died at that lake. There's just no fucking way. And the other issue was that they did not protect the crime scene. By the time that they realized that maybe it was hinky.
Is what?
Hinky.
I like that one.
They had already returned the truck to the family. The boat was already docked back at the
so everything,
not one part of it. They were trying to find him, so no one was looking at footprints, evidence, who had touched the truck, who had moved the boat, no part of it. They just assumed it was a hunter who went missing.
Oh no!
So there was no crime scene at all, and it was impossible for them to make a case.
No crime scene, no body.
Exactly. The FDLE, I don't remember who that is. Probably the Florida. I probably said it before. Somebody else Google it. Had closed the case. They convinced that the alligator theory was wrong, but without any leads or evidence, they weren't able to investigate. By 2006, its cold case investigators were no longer returning Cheryl's phone calls, which sucks. But she was still taking out ads in the newspaper and everything. Like a new lead, though. A new lead emerges in October of 2007. Now, Michael's brother, Nick, had found a photograph and the serial number of a .22 caliber Ruger pistol that had once belonged to his dad. Michael had inherited it after his father's death. And after Michael was declared legally dead, it was the only one of his firearms that Denise had not returned to their former in-laws.
Oh.
Yeah.
Ooh.
How fucked up.
That is a little fucked up.
That you kill your son, that you kill your husband or whoever it did, because obviously other people are involved, that you're shot with your dad's gun.
Yeah.
Fuck you. You know?
Yeah.
Like if I got killed by one of my dad's fucking guns, like his Smith & Wesson, my ghost would be angry. Shoot me with the .22 that the rifle I learned how to shoot with if I got shot and killed by. Fuck you.
That is very rude.
Agreed.
All of this is very rude.
All of it is. So they realized that they didn't get the gun back. And so the Bureau, they go to the Federal Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms, and they tell them to go to their house, the stupid fucking Brian and Denise Winchesters, now that they're married. And they end up interviewing him over that. Several days later, their attorney delivered the gun to the FDLE, and it was sent to the State Forensics Laboratory for DNA testing. The results were not reported. On the anniversary of Williams' disappearance that year, the Winchesters made one of their few public statements, and they're saying, "For 7 years, we have prayed and hoped to find out with certainty what happened to Mike," Brian said in the email. Nobody wants Mike found more than we do. And that was because rumors were circulating that a grand jury, like some indictments were about to fall down from the heavens.
You think?
It doesn't.
What?
In 2008, the Florida Department of Financial Services Division of Insurance Fraud, in conjunction with the FDLE, began investigating the case from that angle. Normally under Florida law, the statute of limitations is 5 years, but they added in 3 more years for this particular situation.
They're like, just
because
kidding.
I think we forget there's fraud. First, they can get him for fraud if they could prove that they just threw waiters in there and acted like he was dead.
Yeah.
If you took the murder out of it.
Yeah. Okay. This is okay.
I know. The lead attorney on it, he's like, everything about this case is what?
Everything is fucked up.
Isn't it?
That every single part of this is fucked up. And the fact that they sent an email after 7 years or whatever, an email saying, "Oh, we're praying for that. Are you praying for it?" No.
Right.
You're not. You're in the same house. You sold him the thing. You sold him that. And now you're married and banging his wife.
I wonder, like, we're not living in 1800s where it was like, if the brother died, the other brother marries him.
Yeah, take care of my wife.
Yeah.
Like, that's not
I don't see in any scenario.
No.
In any scenario. Like, who's Will's best friend? Like, gun to your head, who's Will's best friend?
Alex.
Okay, I knew that. Good. Like, okay, let's say Alex didn't have a wife. But, like, in no scenario.
Would I just get with Alex?
Well, that even in the pain and the sadness, like if we lost you and I was single, me and Will wouldn't grow together in a sexual way. It would be more brotherly, sisterly as it is today.
Sit around my monument and cry.
Right.
And talk to my ghost.
I don't know how that just turns into sexual attraction in that way.
It's maybe like chivalry. I don't know. That sounds like a really bad Lifetime movie that would come on.
I just don't know how everyone then would be okay with it.
That's
so then, like the family around it is like,
or the kid. The kid grows up. I'd be like, well, I'm pretty sure you killed my dad. Why are you
like? How did this really happen?
Yeah,
unless it was truly like a car accident. You know,
how'd you two meet?
What happened?
Yeah.
So they talk about the in the original search whenever she was trying to get basically. Some way that she was trying to get the policy as well also kind of raised red flags. They said it was noted that Denise's court petition to have her husband declared legally dead mentioned only the Kansas City Life Insurance Company policies that Winchester had sold him, omitting policies through other companies that Mike Williams had obtained through other sources. So even whenever she does it, she only mentions like the big one. She doesn't even go after the ones that Mike took out on himself later on for like his kids or his kid.
Of course not.
Right.
Of course not.
Exactly. I don't really care about this. By the 8th anniversary of his disappearance, however, the DIF had closed the case. I don't know. The insurance fraud people, they had closed the case. Our job was extremely difficult, and we were simply unable to develop enough evidence to proceed with the investigation. Another possible lead ends up becoming fruitless as well. Carrie Cox, who is a self-described psychic and certified forensic psychological profiler from Kentucky.
What's her name?
Carrie Cox.
I want to write it down.
Reviewing the case, she reviewed it, and she had provided a location for Williams's body, and unfortunately, it wasn't there.
Oh,
which was a bummer. I really wanted her to like thrive on that.
I really did too. I wrote her name down.
Another moment. So Cheryl, every single day she wrote over 200 letters to the Governor Rick Scott. Fuck Rick Scott. She finds out later on that they were just put in a box, and she wrote a letter every single day for 200 days asking for them to pay attention to this case, and he never read them.
He put them in a box. Not even.
No, he didn't even open.
Not even.
They were just thrown into. She goes. They could not have hurt me more if they had punched me in my face.
Right.
Never even read it. So
he could have just been like, "Thank you so much. We'll look into it."
No, they didn't even read them.
Yeah.
So whenever you write to your governor, they don't read them.
Just pretend. I bet Andy would read them. He'd read my letters.
Try.
Spray perfume on it.
Okay. So in 2012, shit's going to pivot. Oh, in 2012, Denise and Brian Winchester separate, reportedly due to his sex addiction.
Wait, what?
She filed for divorce in 2015, okay? So Brian opposed it initially and had been ordered to comply. As part of that order, he was to provide an appraisal of the couple's house, which was due in August of 2016. Okay.
Oh, you're getting ready to tell me this.
So on August 5th, the day when the appraisal had to be filed in court, she left her home to drive to her job at Florida State University. While she was talking on the phone to her sister, she saw someone climb over the backseat of her car. Your fear. And it was Brian. He took her phone away and began yelling directions at her. She did not comply until he showed her a gun. She said that he claimed this was necessary since she was not taking his calls and was blocking his text messages.
Like, oh, this is your fault.
He kidnaps her, takes a gun, takes her by gunpoint, and kidnaps her.
What?
And instead of going where he had wanted her to, she ended up pulling into a CVS parking lot right in front of the door. Brian told her that he was planning to kill himself with the gun that he had. He didn't want the divorce, and he felt like he had nothing to live for, and he didn't want to go through it. He assured her he did not want to kill her. She was able to calm him down and took him back to where he had parked his own truck at a nearby park. Before he went to it, he took a tan sheet, a different colored plastic sheet. A tan sheet, a different colored plastic sheet, a spray bottle of bleach, and a tool out of her car. After she left, Brian pulled up to her and apologized for his actions. I don't know how that happened later on somewhere else.
Yeah.
Despite her promise to not tell the police about the incident, she drove straight to the cops. According to a friend of Winchester's later interviewed by the police, he had been increasingly concerned that as a result of the divorce, Denise would tell the police what she knew about this guy who died 10 or 12 or 15 years ago.
Yeah.
She had not answered as many of his phone calls, and he just couldn't fucking handle it. So they're getting divorced.
Yeah.
He obviously killed Mike. And now he's afraid that she's going to tell. So then she takes her by gunpoint, which was not the smartest thing to do.
Yeah.
Because he's arrested and charged with kidnapping, domestic assault, and armed robbery.
Whoa.
With 2 of the charges being felonies. And they all fucking stick.
Good.
Denise requested protection orders saying that she feared for her life and for her daughters. He goes to court without bond. Cheryl Williams expresses hope that this development could lead to the resolution of her son's disappearance. Of course. Brian's not going to let Denise run around with all that money, is what she had said. I'm praying he doesn't commit suicide. I'm praying he'll tell us what actually happened.
Yeah, what? Okay, now I want to know.
I know.
Yeah.
In December of 2017, this is 17 years later.
I was going to say, that's a long time. Yeah.
17 years they got to live on their whole lives.
Ugh.
Winchester was sentenced to 20 years in prison for the kidnapping with 502 days served, followed by a 15-year probation. I think that is unbelievable. What it was?
They knew exactly, like they were like, well, we're going to throw the book at you because you got away the first time, maybe.
Well,
like
what they say is that, so his attorney is like, well, he was suicidal that day, not only because of the divorce, but his mother recently was diagnosed with terminal cancer. Mm-hmm. And there was also a decision that his teenage son decided from his first marriage, decided that he wanted to live with his mom. And he argued that he should just get a 10-year mandatory minimum sentencing because the dude just went through so fucking much. The prosecutors are like, dude, because of what the fuck was in his car, he was going to do a murder-suicide.
Yeah, no kidding.
And that's why he got the 20 years.
Oh, good.
I don't know. I just think he should have gone to, like, I guess I'm just annoyed at all the other cases out there where they, like, women...
They like rape them and they're like,
they
here's
beat
probation.
them, they slam them out of the car and like all this other shit and they don't get anything. And this dude, I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, I get what you're saying. Like that guy that I did in Michigan and he like put sand in his ex's mouth and slammed her head.
That's what I'm talking about.
Or he got 45 days and then got out and then went on that spree.
Yes. And that's literally what I'm saying.
So yeah, no, I totally get it.
So whatever. Eventually they do find his body. So while all of this shit's happening, apparently they specifically will not bring up the Williams' case during Brian's case. So they do not talk about Mike during it. I think that the reason for that is because they were planning to come after Denise.
Good. Yeah, I was wondering about that.
Yeah, they end up doing this like news conference where Mark Perez, the FDLE's special agent who's in charge, he assembles reporters and tells them that Williams's body had been found and it was determined that he was a victim of a homicide. However, they declined to release any information on how he was killed, who might be a person of interest, any of that. They literally tell nothing. They're like, we found his body and he was murdered.
And that's all they say?
And that's it.
That's rare that they don't at least give you a little bit. So they definitely were like, yes, we're going to get her.
Yes.
Yeah.
Later on, they do reveal that they found Mike Williams's remains at the end of a dead-end Gardner Road in northern Leon County, which was 5 miles from the house that he grew up in. So close. They were confirmed by his mother's DNA. And once more, no other information was provided. After Denise is arrested while leaving work.
I hope everyone saw for
Oh, my
one.
God. They had received information of where the body was in early October of 2017. The county public's works employees were saying that they were doing, like they were testing the ground, but they were actually searching for his body because they had to do all these backhoes and all this shit. So they were digging. They were spending they did 5 16-hour days doing 9-foot deep holes.
Wow.
And they had to keep like the waters and the dams back and all this shit. It was a lot of work to like get to that area and to do it. And there were water moccasins and shit there. So they ended up bringing in private contractors to finish the job. On October 18th, the team of search dogs and officers finally found Mike Williams's remains in the piles of dirt stacked on plywood sheets. An FDLE source told the Tallahassee Democrat that 98% of his bones were recovered, all very well preserved, as was some of the clothing that he had been wearing, such as winter gloves and booties.
That long? Wow.
Yeah.
Huh.
Ain't that crazy?
Yeah.
On May 8th of 2018, bitch punk-ass Denise Williams was arrested at Florida State University as she left work to celebrate her daughter's 19th birthday.
Okay, I feel bad for the kid.
I do too.
And all this, especially like on her birthday every year. She's going to be like, well.
Yeah. A grand jury had indicted her on charges of first-degree murder, conspiracy to commit first-degree murder, and accessory after the fact. They continue to keep a lot of the information to themselves. Denise's attorney declined to comment at the time, saying that he had not had time to review the case. Denise's estranged husband, Winchester, was serving his sentence at Wakulla Correctional Institution near Tallahassee. Mm-hmm. And he said if he had to, he would fucking... Whatever is that thing where they sit there.
He's going to testify against her.
There we go.
I bet he does want to testify against her. He held it like... You know, he already kidnapped her and had a plan, and she wouldn't bone him anymore, and he was apparently addicted. That's what I heard earlier. on this episode.
Right. Two FDLE officers went to Cheryl Williams' house immediately following the indictment to inform her. She did not talk to the media or anything when she found out what happened. The 3-page indictment was released 2 days later. It revealed that prosecutors believe that Denise allegedly began conspiring with Winchester in March of 2000, so 9 months before. Her husband disappeared. Winchester is allegedly to have killed Michael with a gun. The accessory charge suggested sometime between August 2014 and the day Winchester was sentenced. Denise had allegedly helped him avoid prosecution or arrest for the crime. Ethan Way, who's Denise's attorney, said that she had nothing to do with it. I'm not even going to read the rest of that because it's so fucking stupid. In late June of 2018, 18 fucking years afterwards, she was ordered held without bond with the trial date of September 24th. Brian's interview, the audio file, was played in court. Dun, dun, dun. In it, Brian confessed to pulling the trigger, but claims the killing was Denise's idea. Her defense argued that the tape should not have been admitted as evidence since Winchester was not charged with anything. The prosecution said it simply asked him to tell the truth about what happened. So she went on trial in December. So basically, I'm pretty sure Homeboy just got away with murder.
Yeah.
Because he was already in there for 45 years.
Well,
So you know what I mean?
He got a big fat sentence.
Yeah. I mean, he was in there for 20, but I think he also had 15 years probation. So 35 years of I'm getting fucked.
Yeah.
The state's star witness was Brian, who testified at length about how he and Denise had never really ended their high school relationship. Even
Never
after
at all?
they both married others. Kathy Thomas, who was Winchester's first wife, told the jury that she had suspected the two were having an affair in the late 1990s when they frequently double dated with Mike and Denise.
No. No. Absolutely not. You can tell when people are boning. I feel
and she knew.
I feel like you can just
I mean, whenever two coworkers
tell.
are fucking, I've always known. I'm like y'all are doing it. I can see you guys doing the I've seen you naked eyes.
Seen you naked eyes.
You know what I'm talking about.
I do know I do know what you're talking about.
I'm glad that you also know what you're talking about.
I always do.
So he had said that the affair started in 97 and it just snowballed. After discreetly rekindling the relationship, the two began to consider killing Mike so that they could marry, as Denise's family frowned on divorce for religious reasons.
Why do people say that?
Why is murder
wrong.
better than divorce? Why is it that religious people somehow believe that murder is better than divorce?
Isn't thou shalt not kill one of the commandments?
No, is it? Yes.
It is, right? I don't know. I don't remember.
Denise suggested that they should stage a boating accident on the Gulf of Mexico where they would throw both Mike and Kathy Thomas overboard.
Oh, poor. Well, okay.
But Brian was like, I don't want to kill my children's mother.
Oh, he's such a good guy. He's such a caring man. Okay.
So then they're like, well, maybe we can do some plans for a murder at Mike's office. That should look like a robbery. But then Winchester was like, wait, a hunting accident. After he had saved Mike from quicksand when the two were hunting in Arkansas.
What? See, is quicksand like a real thing?
Yes, it is. Oh, it fucking is.
I feel like, I read something that said I feel like I had developed a fear of quicksand when I was younger. And then
like you would just walk into it everywhere.
Like you're out in Florida and you just get sucked in.
Yeah.
Like drinking my White Claw.
I didn't know
they
had it in Arkansas, so I'm definitely going to text Travis about that. Travis has gotten caught in quicksand before, I believe. I feel like he's told me that. But obviously it was like a pull a leg out, not a fingertip. Somebody.
Like all the shows we saw when we were younger.
Yeah, like where a fucking tigger just comes. Yeah.
Just
That'd
like
be
that.
a horrible way to drown. In sand?
With sand?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like snow, but not cold.
You put your paper in front of your face. You couldn't even look at me after that.
No. All right. On the day that Mike disappeared, Winchester said he had enticed him to Lake Seminole. Out on the water, he had gotten Mike to put the waders on, then pushed him out of the boat, thinking he would be unable to resurface and thus would drown. But instead, he managed to get to a tree stump, so Winchester fired a single shotgun blast to the face.
God.
Since Mike's death could no longer be passed off as a boating accident, That was the point. Winchester buried the body where it was later found, then cleaned out his truck and went to a family Christmas party, where he learned that a search and rescue was underway. He and Denise took it slow after Mike's accident, both to let the insurance money earn further interest and to allay any suspicion. The kidnapping that had led to his present imprisonment, he explained, was his reaction to the fear that Denise would reveal the truth about what happened to her first husband now that she and Brian were divorcing.
Oof. Is this a movie?
It has to be.
It should be.
Prosecutors played a taped phone conversation in which Kathy Thomas, who was working with police at the time, had told Denise she knew the truth about the crime.
A sting.
Each time she brought it up, Denise attempted to change the subject, but at one point asked, "What do you know?" Assistant State Attorney John Fuchs, I don't know, Fuchs, F-U-C-H-S, Fuchs,
I know.
said this evasiveness, as well as Denise's dispassionate response when Winchester told her how he had killed Mike, demonstrated how coldly blooded she had helped plan the crime.
Yeah.
And how it happened on her behalf. Way, the attorney argued in response that there was no physical evidence linking Denise to the crime. But thank God, in February of 2019, Denise was sentenced to life in prison. She didn't speak or offer any argument on her behalf. The only person to address the court besides the lawyers was Cheryl Williams, his mom, who said that justice had finally been served and that Denise had taken not only her son, but also her granddaughter from her.
Oh.
5 months later, Mike and Denise's daughter, Ansley, was awarded all of the assets of her late father's estate and insurance monies due to Denise after her mother signed them over to her to avoid prosecution on 3 fucking counts of insurance fraud. As part of the deal, Ansley may not use any of the money on her mother's legal fees.
They got to put
and if she did, she would have to pay the state $150,000 in penalties.
So they were real pissed. They were like, oh, yeah.
You cannot help your mom.
No helping your mom. That poor girl, too.
Yep.
And the grandma. I hope they're back there. Are they friends?
I mean,
I hope so.
She's probably dead, but
well, I mean,
I don't know. It was only 5 years ago.
Yeah.
Denise is now in prison at the Florida Women's Reception Center. That's an interesting name. In January of 2020, during the COVIDs, Denise appealed her conviction and life sentence. Her attorney argued before the Florida First District Court of Appeal that there was no evidence that she was involved in the commission of the murder. In November of 2020, the murder conviction was overturned.
Stop it.
But the conspiracy to commit murder conviction was upheld, including a 30-year sentence.
So it went from life to 30?
Yeah.
And she's probably going to be like 80 when she gets out?
I have no idea. Let's find out how old she is.
Yeah, it sounds
Denise
like
Williams.
Yeah, I want to know that. I love that they were like, a final fuck you is that your kid gets all the money that you killed your poor husband for, and you can't even have a fucking dime. I love that. I definitely love the journey.
I am just like, it's just.
And I'm glad that his mom got to see that, like got closure as much as she possibly could.
Let me show you a photo.
From that. Yes, show me.
Here's the photos.
Okay.
I don't know how old she was. She's probably in her 40s.
Oh.
Early 50s.
In my head, they did not look like this. I don't know what I thought they looked like.
Mike was kind of a smoke show.
Yeah.
He looked like he would be a politician. I don't know. Heather's so far away, and she's like, is that the guy? I don't fucking know. They're both brunette, middle-aged men.
No, because okay, that's not him.
Okay.
Got it. Oh, that is.
This is really riveting for every single person that's listening right now.
That's what they're here for.
Yeah, that's not him. Oh, wait, that's him. Yeah. That's him.
Yes.
Wait, that's
just so you know, it wasn't the first one, it was the second one.
And the guy that she had the affair with isn't even cute.
No.
I think Mike was cuter.
Mike's the
sweet baby angel. He has such a sweet face.
Yeah.
Anyway. Mm-hmm. Is that insane and fucked up?
Yeah, and they got away with it for so long.
I think that's what bothers me the most is like you guys literally got to live your life. Like, and I don't even know if you're cold-blooded, I guess you probably I don't know. I would fucking be losing my mind. I have so much anxiety. I have pre-anxiety at the thought of it. Heather's laughing thinking about if I ever gosh, I say one thing wrong to somebody or hurt someone's feelings, and I cannot get past it for like 8 days. I have to meditate on it. I have to journal on it.
Yeah.
I have to fucking take a bath and listen to like music to just like move through it.
A sound bath? Is it a sound bath or a regular one?
I would 100% eat a bullet. I could not cope with it.
Yeah, but I'm like, no, I'm kidding.
Yeah?
No. That was a lot.
It was very juicy.
Yeah, it was. Because I thought they were going to get away with it, and I was going to get real mad and throw this pen at you. And they did for so long.
20 years, damn near.
Yeah.
So that means they were married for 10 years. You really, if you're going to do that kind of shit, you gotta keep the relationship tight. You can't break up.
Yeah.
Once you do, you got to do like a blood pact or some shit.
Pinky swear.
You got to do a seance to the ancestors to be like, we got to stay together forever.
Yeah. I'd be like, you're never fucking leaving me, just so you know.
That's what I currently say every night to Travis before he goes to sleep.
Just so you know.
Yeah. We're in this forever. Just like us and our listeners.
Oh, my God.
Well, thanks for listening to my sad story about Mike Williams.
Yes.
And how the alligator didn't get him. If you want to know how I found that story, I said murders that were blamed on animal attacks.
That's what you looked up?
I looked up.
That's so
weird?
funny.
Yeah.
You just were like...
I wanted an animal
You wanted
involved.
to know?
I wanted to know who was blaming shit.
Well, my story's about a killer armadillo. Just kidding.
Oh, my God. Do you remember that one story about that dingo that took the baby?
That dingo? The dingo ate my baby.
And it actually did.
What baby was that?
I don't know. Baby Aiden? I don't fucking know. That baby way back in the day was like in the 60s, maybe 60s, 70s. And the woman was like, I swear the dingo took my baby. And they're like, you liar, we're going to arrest you. And then she like goes to jail and they're like, so we found the baby's stuff in a dingo hole. So you can come out now.
Oh, that's
really what happened. I like scrolled through it because I was like, I remember the dingo taking the baby.
Wow.
I remember the dingo.
The dingo taking the baby.
And I looked at it, was like, what the fuck? And then I really looked through it and they're like, no, at one point they literally find like the baby's clothing's shredded in a dingo hole.
That's sad.
That's very sad.
There's no winners.
No.
And what's
no
a dingo? Is that an Australian dog?
Good for you. I was thinking like kangaroo.
No, I think it's like an Australian dog.
It is. It's like probably like a wolf. More wolfy foxy.
A
Foxy wolf.
A wolfy foxy?
Yeah. So we should go.
Yeah, we should go. Rate, subscribe.
Rate, review, subscribe.
Yeah, say the thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
And follow us.
Yes.
And
please.
be our friends. Yes. And check out our merch store.
Yes.
Okay, we love you guys.
Okay, love you. Bye.
Love you. Bye.
Theodore, can I pet that dog?